Hello everyone, and welcome to another Star Rail lore video. Today, I'll be going over the lore of the Penacony Land of the Dreams Planar Ornament set, and various other sources relating to Penacony. There is a lot of lore revolving around Penacony, so I thought it would be fun to go over the planet's history. Also, this video does contain spoilers for the quests listed on screen now, so if you haven't done those, you have been warned. Anyways, let's move right on and get into the video. Before we begin, I want to remind you all that an Amber Era lasts anywhere from 76 to 240 Trailblaze years. Currently, we are in 2158 Amber Era, which began during the events of the Eurylos 6 Trailblaze Missions. Anyways, our story today starts back in 2147 Amber Era, when Penacony was quite different compared to today. Back then, it was a barren and desolate world covered in deserts that functioned as an IPC prison planet. The countless inmates here would be tasked in retrieving the overflowing memory bubbles for the Garden of Recollection. You see, the Asdana Sar system, where Penacony is located, is brimming with memoria that has remained at relatively high levels for several eons. In order to stop a memoria-related disaster, the IPC sent prisoners here to retrieve the memory bubbles. The modern-day Golden Theater on Penacony today actually served as the central prison of Asdana during this time. At some point, the small cells the inmates were kept in began to cut off access to reality. Instead, the people's consciousnesses would become linked in a shared dream. Soon after this began, the IPC would start to lose its grip on Penacony and Asdana as a whole. First, a Stellaron corrosion would break out on the planet. At the time, Nanook the Destruction was a relatively new eon, so the Stellarons weren't well understood. On top of this, the prisoner Hanune would lead his fellow inmates in a rebellion against the IPC, kickstarting the event known as the War of Independence. Members of various factions would fight alongside Hanune during this war for freedom, including Nameless, Masked Fools, Morning Actors, History Fictionologists, and Omen Vanguards. At some point during the war, the Astral Express arrived at Penacony and connected it to other worlds with the Silver Rail. After driving the IPC away from the planet for the first time, 3 of the Nameless decide to stay behind. These 3 were Mikhail Char Legwork, Rosalina Jane Estella, and Brukelin Tiernan. I'll go over each of them in more detail soon, but first, I want to finish talking about the war. Hanune would end up sacrificing himself to detonate an ammunition warehouse while defending Penacony from a later attack by the IPC. He was recovered from the rubble, but he had sustained grave injuries and remained unconscious. The Watchmaker, Mikhail, told the other rebels that he was only temporarily out of action in order to reassure them. Unfortunately, Hanune would pass away soon after. During or shortly after the war, 7 family lineages would be founded on Penacony, those being Oak, Alfalfa, Bloodhound, Iris, Nightingale, Lampmoth, and Blackplum. Only the first 5 families remain today, as both the Lampmoth family and the Blackplum family died out. The Lampmoth family would be destroyed by the Swarm while attempting to reopen the Silver Rail. As for the Blackplum Fairy, it is implied that their fall was caused by the Alfalfa family head at the time, Lakika. Now then, I want to take a moment to focus on the 3 legendary Nameless that decide to stay on Penacony. I'll briefly go over each of their stories and the roles that they played during the War for Freedom and beyond. First up, we have Mikhail Char Legwork, more commonly known as the Watchmaker. He was born on the oceanic world of Lushaka, where he was adopted by 2 legendary seafarers named Mikhail and Char. In his childhood, he was an apprentice at a clock shop, which is where he discovered his passion for precision mechanics and watchmaking. Still, Mikhail wanted to leave his homeworld and travel the stars. As such, he would soon board the Astral Express, during the time when Falcon Amundsen was the navigator. During his time aboard the Express, Falcon would unfortunately pass away, and would be succeeded as navigator by Granholm. When Mikhail decided to stay on Penacony, Granholm entrusted him with Falcon's hat. On Penacony, Mikhail's influence would allow many incredulous objects and phenomena to appear in the dreamscapes. As a result, many began to desire visiting these dreamscapes. Unfortunately, Mikhail would eventually pass away. Shortly after his passing, his trailblazing will summoned a child's dream and incarnated itself as Misha. After his death, his lifelong friend Gallagher would send out forged invitations to various factions for the upcoming Charmony Festival. This was all in accordance with Mikhail's instructions, which I'll go over in a bit. Next up, we have Rosalina Jane Estella. She hailed from the Zorina Erd system, and she was a scholar who majored in Memoria dynamics. Wanting to seek out broader academic possibilities, she joined the Astral Express to help build Asdana and launch her research into Memoria. Her research would become the theoretical foundations upon which Penacony would be built. Due to her work, she has been regarded as the true founder behind the Land of the Dreams. Towards the end of the war, she piloted a shuttle alone into the Memory Zone, searching for secrets about the primordial dreamscape. However, she was never heard from again. That is, until the Trailblazer arrives on Penacony. Upon unlocking the 18th and final page of the Dreamscape Pass, it is revealed that Rosalina has been communicating with us through the questions in the pass. After answering her last words in the pass, it is said that she can no longer respond there anymore. Finally, it's time to talk about Brooklyn Tiernan. He hailed from the frontier world of Frati, and he was an amazing gunslinger. He greatly admired the legendary musketeer Oakley, which influenced him to board the Astral Express. During the War of Independence, he was one of Penacony's most accomplished generals. In fact, he was the sole winner of the Fang Hunter Medal, an award given to him by Hanune himself. Later on, while reopening the Silver Rail with the Lampmoth family, he would be ambushed by the Swarm. He vanished for a time, but was eventually rescued by a group of Galaxy Rangers. Later still, he fought in the crusade against Lord Ravager Zulo, and even managed to survive. However, since almost no one saw him after Zulo's fall, the majority of people believed that he had died. Towards the end of his life, he met the Self-Annihilator Acheron, to whom he entrusted his relics upon passing away. His soul lingered as a sin-thirster by the sea around the Nihility, until he finally came to the realization that he was dead. After this, he would be guided away from the Nihility by Acheron. After many Amber Eras of war, Penacony decided to focus on expanding the dreamscape. The Nightingale family would extend invitations to various architects and Memoria scholars to help with this project. This age of rapid development started in 2151 Amber Era, and became known as the Dreamchaser Era. However, certain people lurked in the shadows with ulterior motives. These people planned to use the Stellaron's power to help build the dreamscape. The Watchmaker would send a call for help to the family of Montour, and a representative by the name of Gopher Wood would soon arrive on Penacony. By the time he arrived, the Stellaron had been activated and was seeping into the primordial dreamscape. Fortunately, the family possessed extensive knowledge of the Stellaron by this point, and was able to help subdue it. However, traders within the Oak family ensured that the Stellaron was not fully sealed. These traders included Gopher Wood, the representative who came to help, as he was secretly a follower of the Order. Either way, the Reverie Hotel would soon be opened, and the first Charmony Festival would be successfully held. Soon after, the construction of the 12 Hours of the Dreamscape would finally be completed. Oak family head Gopher Wood would then declare the unity of the 5 major lineages, pushing for all families to join together under the Harmony. At first, Nightingale head Glau refused to join, which unfortunately led to the unintentional deaths of Origami Dreamweavers Joey, Vaughn, and Barlow. The next Nightingale family head, Fisher, who had been a student of Glau, made the decision to join in order to avoid pointless bloodshed. Orla, another one of Glau's students, would escape the Nightingale family to work on rebuilding Dreamflux Reef. It would become a refuge for people disillusioned by the sweet dream. Orla would eventually give up on his physical form to remain in the dreamscape as the origami bird, Dr. Blues. Eventually, the Watchmaker would realize the family had not actually sealed the Stellaron. By this point though, the family had a firm grip on Penacony. Any opposition that arose would be swiftly quelled by them, meaning Mikhail had to come up with a clever plan in order to seal the Stellaron. As such, he came up with the idea to invite various factions to Penacony in hopes of finding people capable of resolving the Stellaron crisis. Gallagher would send out Charmony Festival invitations to various different factions, including Everflame Mansion, the Stellaron Hunters, the IPC, the Astral Express, the Intelligentsia Guild, the Garden of Recollection, the Masked Fools, and the Galaxy Rangers. Thanks to these invitations, the plot of the Order on Penacony would be unveiled and put to an end. During these events, it would be revealed that the Stellaron was secretly housed within the Penacony Grand Theater. As a result, the Astral Express crew would make their way to the theater to face off against New Oak family head, Sunday. After breaking free of Enna's dream, they would successfully defeat Sunday, and the Aeon of Order would fall once again. Afterwards, Jade and Topaz of the IPC would negotiate with Odi Alfalfa about Penacony. They eventually came to an agreement in which the IPC would offer rebuilding assistance to Penacony at the cost of 30% of the planet's shares. The Astral Express would also be given 5% of the planet's shares to honor their contributions and sacrifices, both past and present. In version 2.6, it seems like we will be heading back to Penacony for a brand new Trailblaze continuance. Sunday has finally been announced as playable, so we will finally learn more about his story. I think there is a lot more to come for Penacony's story in the future. Anyways, that's pretty much it for the history of Penacony. This is one of the most interesting places we've been to so far, and I can't wait to learn more about it in the upcoming Trailblaze continuance. If you want more lore about Star Rail planets though, I recommend my videos on Salsado, the Xianzhou Ming, Sigonia 4, and Thalassa. With that said, I would love to hear what other bits of lore you'd like me to cover in the comments below as well. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Sources and further readings are also in the description if you want to check them out. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you all in the next video.